Welcome to A News. I'm Leila Massimo. Here are the headlines. Donald Trump pardons 1,500 January 6 defendants in a sweeping executive order on day one of his second term.
We hope they come out tonight.
U.S. Senate confirms Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. Algeria demands accountability from France for colonial-era nuclear tests. On January 20, history is made again as Trump returns to the steps of the Capitol for his second inauguration. His speech echoed his bold rhetoric and commitment to reshaping Americans' future, marks the beginning of a new chapter in his political legacy. That is the key themes of his address for the nation and the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President-elect of the United States, the Honorable Donald John Trump.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
The office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The golden age of America begins right now. From this day forward, our country will flourish and be respected again all over the world. We will be the envy of every nation, and we will not allow ourselves to be taken advantage of any longer. During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first. America will soon be greater, stronger, and far more exceptional than ever before. We have a public health system that does not deliver in times of disaster, yet more money is spent on it than any country anywhere in the world. And we have an education system that teaches our children to be ashamed of themselves in many cases, to hate our country despite the love that we try so desperately to provide to them. All of this will change starting today, and it will change very quickly. From this moment on, America's decline is over. Those who wish to stop our cause have tried to take my freedom and indeed to take my life. Just a few months ago in a beautiful Pennsylvania field, an assassin's bullet ripped through my ear. But I felt then, and believe even more so now, that my life was saved for a reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. To the Black and Hispanic communities, I want to thank you for the tremendous outpouring of love and trust that you have shown me with your vote. We set records, and I will not forget it. I've heard your voices in the campaign, and I look forward to working with you in the years to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and his honor, this will be a great honor, but in his honor we will strive together to make his dream a reality. We will make his dream come true. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. We have been treated very badly from this foolish gift that should have never been made, and Panama's promise to us has been broken. The purpose of our deal and the spirit of our treaty has been totally violated. American ships are being severely overcharged and not treated fairly in any way, shape, or form, and that includes the United States Navy. And above all, China is operating the Panama Canal, and we didn't give it to China, we gave it to Panama, and we're taking it back. And we will pursue our manifest destiny into the stars, launching American astronauts to plant the stars and stripes on the planet Mars. We will be proud, we will be strong, and we will win like never before. We will not be conquered, we will not be intimidated, we will not be broken, and we will not fail. From this day on, the United States of America will be a free, sovereign, and independent nation. We will stand bravely, we will live proudly, we will dream boldly, and nothing will stand in our way because we are Americans. The future is ours, and our golden age has just begun. Thank you. God bless America. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
After taking office on Monday, Donald Trump signs few orders, taking steps to curb immigration/environmental regulations and withdraw from an international climate treaty.
Very important executive orders of our new administration.
On the very first day of his presidency, Donald Trump signed over 40 executive orders, signaling a strong shift in US policy, particularly in foreign affairs and domestic issues. Trump moved quickly to reinstate policies from his first term. One of his first actions was to pardon approximately 1,500 individuals involved in the January 6, 2021 US Capitol attack, addressing what he referred to as the weaponization of federal law enforcement. The pardons fulfilled his campaign promise to support those involved in the Capitol riots, including members of far-right groups. Trump also signed a memorandum directing federal agencies to ease regulatory restrictions, particularly in oil and gas production, aiming to combat inflation and reduce energy costs for Americans. In a highly symbolic move, Trump withdrew the US from the Paris Climate Agreement, reaffirming his stance on climate change and pushing for increased fossil fuel production. He declared a national energy emergency to ensure the US remains energy independent. US President also signed an executive action that delays enforcement of the TikTok ban for 75 days. Trump swiftly reinstated hardline immigration policies, including a national emergency at the US-Mexico border and freezing the US refugee admission program. Donald Trump also announced the US would withdraw from the World Health Organization, criticizing the organization for mishandling the COVID-19 pandemic and failing to implement necessary reforms.
So we paid $500 million to World Health when I was here, and I terminated it. China, with 1.4 billion people, we have 350 to pay. We have, nobody knows what we have because so many people came in illegally, but let's say we have 325. They had 1.4 billion. They were paying 39 million, we were paying 500 million. It seemed a little unfair to me.
Trump's first day also saw the repeal of 78 executive orders from the Biden administration, the rollback of protections for transgender individuals, and the end of federal diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, staying true to his campaign promises.
World leaders congratulated Donald Trump on his inauguration as the 47th U.S. president, highlighting opportunities for stronger global partnerships and cooperation in his second term.
World leaders extended congratulations to Donald Trump on his inauguration as the 47th President of the United States on January 20th, marking the beginning of his second term. In messages shared via social media, several high-profile figures praised the US-led global partnerships and expressed optimism for the future under Trump's leadership. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu commended the Great Alliance between Israel and the US, highlighting key achievements of Trump's first term, such as the Abraham Accords and the decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
President Trump, Sarah and I send our warmest wishes to you, Melania, and the American people on your second inauguration as President of the United States. Your first term as President was filled with groundbreaking moments in the history of the great alliance between our two countries.
In Europe, the inauguration was met with praise from UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who emphasised the enduring, special relationship between the UK and the US, predicting continued collaboration for years to come.
On behalf of His Majesty's Government and the United Kingdom, I would like to send my warmest congratulations to President Trump on his inauguration as the 47th President of the United States. For centuries, the relationship between our two nations has been one of collaboration, cooperation, and enduring partnership. It is a uniquely close bond. Together, we have defended the world from tyranny and worked towards our mutual security and prosperity.
German Chancellor Olaf Scholz stressed the importance of transatlantic relations, calling the US a vital ally. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban praised the US shift under Trump, calling it a victory for patriots. Polish President Andrzej Duda praised Donald Trump's second term, highlighting his experience, business expertise, and friendly approach toward Poland. Japan aims to arrange an early meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Ishiba to strengthen the Japan-US alliance, said Chief Cabinet Secretary Yoshimasa Hayashi. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in a message posted on X, celebrated Trump's inauguration as a chance to strengthen peace efforts, emphasizing Ukraine's readiness to collaborate with the US to achieve true peace.
I wish President Trump and all of America success. Ukrainians are ready to work together with Americans to achieve peace, true peace.
Russian President Vladimir Putin congratulated US President Donald Trump and expressed readiness to discuss Ukraine and nuclear arms with his administration.
We see the statement of the newly elected President of the United States and members of his team about the desire to restore direct contacts with Russia that were interrupted not by us, but by the outgoing administration. We also hear his statement about the need to do everything possible to prevent World War III. We certainly welcome this attitude.
European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen emphasized the importance of US-EU cooperation on global challenges and shared prosperity. Other leaders, including Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, also offered congratulations, highlighting shared opportunities for growth, security, and global collaboration in the years ahead. As Trump begins his second term, he enters office once again as a figure committed to reshaping US foreign policy, with a focus on remaking government institutions and re-evaluating international alliances.
As global conflicts intensify, the 47th U.S. President Donald Trump is outlining his approach to handling international crises during his second term. From the war in Ukraine to tensions in the Middle East, Trump promises a unique strategy focused on peace through strength. But how would his strategies affect these unstable regions? Let's take a closer look.
Donald Trump has made it clear his foreign policy will center on reducing US involvement in endless wars, while asserting American dominance on the world stage. He claims his experience as a deal maker will help him bring peace to some of the world's most complex conflicts. On the war in Ukraine, Trump has promised to broker a peace deal within 24 hours of taking office, though he has not offered specifics on how he would achieve such a rapid resolution. Critics question whether his close relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin could influence his approach, potentially at the expense of Ukraine's sovereignty. Trump has also hinted at reassessing US military aid to Ukraine, suggesting that European allies should bear a greater share of the burden. This stance echoes his first-term policy of pressuring NATO members to increase defense spending. In the Middle East, Trump plans to build on the Abraham Accords, which normalized relations between Israel and several Arab nations during his first term. He argues that these agreements lay the groundwork for a broader peace strategy, including a potential resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. However, tensions in Gaza and the West Bank pose significant challenges. Meanwhile, Trump has vowed to adopt a harder stance on Iran, calling for tougher sanctions and even hinting at military action if Tehran moves closer to developing nuclear weapons. This marks a stark contrast to the Biden administration's efforts to revive the Iran nuclear deal. Trump's promises on global conflicts highlight a blend of bold rhetoric and controversial strategies. While his supporters praise his America First approach, opponents warn that it could alienate allies and escalate tensions.
The U.S. Senate anonymously confirmed Marco Rubio as Secretary of State on Inauguration Day, marking the first cabinet appointment of President Donald Trump's second term. The new Secretary of State becomes the first Hispanic individual to serve in this role. A strong critic of China and supporter of Israel, Rubio was confirmed by 99-0 vote after a smooth hearing. The son of Cuban immigrants, he stressed reducing U.S. reliance on China and prioritizing American interest in foreign policy. He also suggested that both Russia and Ukraine might need to make territorial concessions for peace. More votes on Trump's nominees are expected this week. Suspended South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol attended his impeachment trial at the Constitutional Court, marking the first time an impeached president appeared in person during such proceedings. Yoon, who is also under investigation for leading an insurrection and abuse of power, faced scrutiny over his controversial martial law declaration in December last year. Dressed in a navy suit, Yoon pledged to answer any questions from the court. The trial, which began on December 27, will determine whether he will be permanently removed from the office or reinstated. He has been suspected since the impeachment by Parliament on December 14, and his fate now lies on the hands of the Constitutional Court. Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has emphasized the importance of the implementing all stages of the Gaza Ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, ensuring the interrupted flow of humanitarian aid to the region. At a press conference with Slovakian Prime Minister Robert Fico, Turkish President Erdogan stressed the need for Israel to honor the truce and reaffirm Turkey's support for a Palestinian state based on 1967 borders. He also called for lifting restrictions on Syria to aid reconstruction and discussed Slovakia's role in these efforts. Erdogan announced the upgrade of Turkey-Slovakia relations to a strategic partnership. Gaza ceasefire took effect since Sunday. Our Maria Rodriguez Abalde brings the latest updates in its implementation, reporting from Jerusalem.
3 Israeli hostages were returned to Israel by Hamas and 90 Palestinian security prisoners were released by Israel as the ceasefire took effect at 11:15 a.m., almost 3 hours later than planned. The deal will see 33 hostages released, which condition is not known, and some are reported to have been killed in the first 42-day phase in exchange for the release of security prisoners, humanitarian aid, and an IDF have withdrawn to a security perimeter around Gaza 1,100 meters from the Israeli border. It's expected for the next Saturday the release of 4 more Israeli women, but this first phase also marked the start of a 3-stage process yet to be fully hashed out, with many in Israel and Gaza fearful that it could fall apart before reaching a so-called day after, leaving scores still in captivity, employing the streak back into devastating conflict. In Israel, the finalizing of the first part of the deal brought relief for 3 hostages' families after 50 months of pain, but for others, it brought another prolonging of uncertainty.
A fire broke out at a hotel in Bolu's Kartalkaya ski resort, one of Turkey's renowned tourist destinations, claiming the lives of 10 people and injuring 31 others, according to initial reports. The fire started around 4 a.m. in the hotel's restaurant and it quickly spread throughout the building. Emergency crews were dispatched to the scene, and Bolu Governor Abdulaziz Aydin stated the cause remains unclear. Justice Minister Yilmaz Tunç announced a judicial investigation. With 6 prosecutors and 5 experts involved, authorities are still working to control the fire and investigate, and the victims' identities have not been released. Algeria's top official has called on France to take full responsibility for the lasting health and environmental damage caused by nuclear tests conducted in Algeria between 1960 and 1966.
The legacy of France's nuclear tests in Algeria continues to affect the country decades after the explosions. Between 1960 and 1966, 17 nuclear tests were carried out in the Algerian desert, leaving behind severe health and environmental consequences that still plague local communities. The chairman of the Algeria's Council of the Nation, Saleh Goujil, called on France to take full responsibility for the lasting effects of those actions. He highlighted that many Algerians, particularly in regions affected by the explosions, continue to suffer from the harmful consequences of the tests. The first of these tests took place near Regani, marking the start of France's nuclear weapons program. While the tests were conducted to enhance France's military power, they devastated Algeria's people and environment. Even after Algeria gained independence in 1962, France continued its nuclear testing under the Evian Accords, leaving lasting damage. Communities living near the test sites suffer from a range of health issues, including cancers, birth defects, and respiratory diseases caused by radiation exposure. Many have died from these illnesses, and survivors are still struggling to receive adequate health care or recognition for their suffering. The environmental fallout is equally catastrophic. Vast areas of land, once suitable for agriculture, are now contaminated and uninhabitable, disrupting the livelihoods of local populations. The radioactive waste buried in the desert poses a long-term threat, creating an ongoing hazard for future generations. Despite these devastating impacts, both the French and Algerian governments have yet to take meaningful action. The UN Special Rapporteur on Toxics and Human Rights has urged both countries to acknowledge the damage, declassify relevant documents, and provide reparations for the victims. However, as for now, the affected communities are still waiting for justice.
That's all for now, but don't go anywhere. Stay tuned to A News for more exclusive updates. We'll be back soon.